Good morning. It's another cold morning in Sydney. Just to recap, yesterday we put in the floors, which I was very excited about. It's starting to look a lot more like a livable space. It's just like the flooring that you have at home. So today I am going to be putting up the wall panels, not the structural panels, just the aesthetic panels, which is the same as the flooring. It's just vinyl plankings and it's self-adhesive. It should stick on. But before we do that, I need to address this gap issue. So when I put the structural plywood on, there's a little bit of a gap here between the two different pieces of plywood. So I can actually fit my fingers in there, so it's a couple of centimeters, and this one is a little bit more than that. I can probably fit my hand in there. So I need to address that before I can put the planking on, because if I put the planking on, it is bendable, which is why I got it. But if I were to put my hand on that when the planking is on there, my hand's it's gonna bend. My hand's gonna go through. Not through the wall, but like you know what I mean. The planking's not going to be solid, so I need to fix that up first. I did think of a couple of solutions, so we'll get started on that now. I've just got to do a little inventory to see if there's enough proper materials to actually fix that, and if there is, we'll just get straight into it. If not, then I'll have to go out to the hardware store. Alright, it looks like I should be fine. I'm going to use some leftover wood that I used before on the walls. So this is what I cut the wheel arch from, and I've got some spare plywood, the thin one that I put on the roof. I've got some spare of that to make it sit a bit more flat, and I will also be using some spack filler. So spack filler is it's mostly used for like your gyprock at your house, like your house walls. If you get like dents and stuff in it, you just putty it over and sand it back, and it makes it flat again. So I've got a tub of that, which I had previously. So I'll use that to kind of flatten out the surface there. Okay, so I was just playing around with different methods of filling that gap. Initially I was just going to layer up the plywood until it was flat, but I think it's better going this way, just having structures going this way, and then laying the thin ply over the top. It leaves less of a gap, which means I won't have to use so much of the spack filler. It's time to start drilling. My favorite power tool. Let's see how many drill bits I break today. Just before I close it up, I'm just going to show you how it looks on the backside of it. So I did put the the plywood behind, and then the thinner sheet on top. So there's one here, there's two here, and one there. And I've also added this nail by itself against this piece of plywood to curve it in rather than out, and then, like, you know, it'll come out like this if I didn't put this in. So I'm just gonna add another one here, and that way it's facing inwards rather than out. Cool, there you go. I know it doesn't look pretty, but we're going to be filling it in anyway, so it doesn't need to. Not only are we going to fill it, it's going to have backing on top of it, the vinyl planking. I'm taking a different approach with this wall because the gap was so much bigger than the other side. What I'm doing is staggering it down, so it's staircasing downways. So I'm just going to keep putting plywood behind it, the thin sheeting, until it's gradients down. That way I have to use less spack filler between each step. I've had to change my approach again. The plywood stacking with the thin one wasn't strong enough to actually support each other. So what I've done is I've left this on here, but I've added one of the thicker, the structural ones behind it, and that has formed a really strong backing for it. So I'm still going to stagger it because I think that is the best way, but I'll just do one more smaller sheet of this thin ply, and then that way I can just fill it. Yeah. Before I drill it all in, I'll just show you the what it looks like. So it steps down, thin ply, steps down, thin ply, steps down. I will be drilling these in just to give it support, and so that it's holding on to something. I'll just quickly show you how this spack filler works. It's pretty easy to use. It's just like Play-Doh, I guess. Just take the applicator, so you just get the applicator, take some filler, and you just pop it in. And then you smooth it out until your gap is filled. It takes about 20 to 30 minutes to dry. So while I'm doing that, I do need to duck up to the hardware store anyway to get some sandpaper so I can flatten it out. Just finished the spack filler. It's not completely flat, it doesn't need to be, just enough so that the adhesive on the plankings have something to stick on. So if I hadn't had put any gradient on any sort of level on it whatsoever, the only part of the adhesive plank that it would be touching would be on the corner bits. It's not going to grab the inside bits there. So putting a little bit of surface area for the adhesive to stick on will make it much more stable. While that's curing, I'm just going to duck up to the hardware store. I need to get some sanding paper so that it's flat. Okay, I'm back from hardware store. Looks like this has cured up. I'm just gonna stand it back a bit and we can start applying the paneling. Okay, I'm gonna get started on the wall panelings. I found out yesterday that I can actually cut the vinyl planks with just scissors. So this should go a lot faster than it did yesterday with the floor planks. I've just got a ruler, tape measure, and hammer. I also learnt yesterday to avoid this tiny gap, which luckily this was the only panel that did have that, so I'm going to get some filler for that later. But to avoid that, I'm going to do it one layer at a time. So I'll do the bottom layer first and then start on the next layer up, because that way, yesterday I laid all the big planks that I didn't need to cut first, but this time around I'm going to do it one layer at a time just to avoid those gaps. I've also bought some Sikabond, which is construction adhesive. These planks are actually made for floors, so I'm not overly confident that the adhesive that's on the planks themselves will be enough to stay stuck on the wall for long periods of time, especially with the van moving. That's going to cause a lot of vibrations, and I'm afraid that might displace the adhesive between the ply and the plank. So I'm going to use construction adhesive for that. For that I need one of those gun thingies. But yeah, let's get started and hope for the best. With the Sikabond, it says if you get any excess come through, you wipe it off with the damp cloth. So I do have a cloth here for any excess, but I'm not gonna use that much on it, because each piece isn't very heavy, so I don't think it will need a lot anyway, but you know, I don't really know how to use this, so it's glue. I'm just assuming it works like any other glue. So this is what the paneling looks like. It actually looks really nice against the darker grey color. I'm just going to measure it up with the contour and chop off what I need. Forgot to mention, I am also going to be using the random pattern. I'm not going to have it in line. I don't like that personally, but as you can see here, the pattern on each plank is actually different. You see a notch here, but there's no notch in the middle there. It's up here. So having a random pattern, having a random placement of the paneling will keep it in line with the different styles of the wood, rather than trying to match every panel. I'm not even sure how the rest of the planks look, but I'm not going to waste time doing that, and there's no guarantee that they're all going to be the same anyway, so I'm just going to do it in the random order. Actually, I quite like that notch, but where I've measured it up, it's going to cut straight through that, so I'm going to use a different piece for the bottom bit here. I just noticed a problem with my cut here, is that it's missing this piece. I should have cut it in a circular edge, but I am now thinking I will put a cover over the wheel arch, which I need to do anyway because this is exposed, but with the wooden structure that I'll put on top of it, I will most likely use this paneling again to make it look nice. Having a bit of trouble cutting this. I might get the utility knife. Yeah, a lot easier with the utility knife. Cool, there we go. I'm lucky that the markings are still here from when I put the structural board up, so I can measure it a bit easier. It's basically this line, and to here. So it should So if I cut on the inside of this, it's still not going to sit flat because it's going to hit that. It's going to be a curvature of that, but that's a good way to start anyway. And then you can find out, you can gradually just shave it off until you get the curvature right. Actually, that is close enough, because I'm going to be building a box around it anyway. This is actually sitting on perfectly. So I just need to measure this side and cut. So it seems to be going alright so far. It is sitting flush there, and the contour is really good. It is smooth all the way around. So I'm hoping if I continue on this pattern, it should be fine. I need to charge the camera again, so you might not see an update for a little while, but I will try and take snippets here and there. Hey, it's going pretty well. I've done up to there. It should be a lot easier now because now that it's flat and all the awkward pieces are cut out, I can just lay them on top of each other until I get up to here. The Sikaflex, it doesn't feel like it's doing anything, but apparently it takes up to 7 days to cure and bond properly. So it must be good if it takes so long to hold initially. I'm gonna continue working on this, and you can see what I'm doing. This bend here, where it goes up like this, seems to have created a gap, and I'm not sure why that has happened. Since the angle is towards me, it shouldn't have happened. If it was the other way around, I could understand, but it's not. Yeah, I will figure out a way around this, but I'm pretty sure this line here is where I was gonna have the framing for the like the water system anyway, so I'm pretty sure it's going to be covered, but I might fill it in with something anyway. I'll have to have a look at my design again because I can't remember. Just where these two structural planks meet, there's a little gap there, and it's slightly off from this panel to this panel. This one's the front one's a bit more forward, so I've got this structure here to push it up against both of the panels, just until it dries. Otherwise it creates a gap like this, but it's a very noticeable gap like this, whereas when it's flat, there's no gap at all. So I'm hoping leaving that overnight will set it like that. to close the door because I've noticed that the sun is actually warping the vinyl. I'm hoping that doesn't happen after the glue actually dries, but I will check on that tomorrow. Okay, I'm calling it quits here for today. So I finished this side of the wall, but I haven't started on this one. I'll do that tomorrow. I am curious to see what happens with the wall once the adhesive dries. I'd like to leave the door open tomorrow to see, like after the glue dries tomorrow, to see if those tiles do warp or not. I don't think they will because the floorboards haven't, and they've been exposed to the sun as well. So I think it's just because the glue is wet. But it looks pretty nice actually. Definitely goes with the floor. Yeah, so I'm happy with the color. Just a little worried. Yeah, so I'll let that cure overnight and we'll get started on that tomorrow. Thanks for joining. Oh, I forgot to mention, no broken drill bits today. Winning!